There's a paste you can make in 90 seconds that dissolves rust completely, not with sandpaper that scratches the metal underneath, not with a wire brush that removes the rust and the tool along with it. This paste penetrates the oxidized layer and converts it back to clean iron on contact. One coat on a rusted gate hinge and the gate swings like it was installed yesterday. One treatment on a corroded wrench set and the contractor you almost paid $400 to replace them loses the job. Garden tools that looked ready for the scrapyard suddenly belong in a working shed again. No grinding required, no power tools needed, no chemistry degree necessary. This formula has existed since before the First World War, when blacksmiths and machinists kept it in unlabeled tins on their workbenches. Mechanics passed it down through apprenticeships like a trade secret. Then the hardware and restoration industry figured out something inconvenient. If homeowners knew this existed, they would never buy a rust removal product again. A 90-cent treatment that replaces a $25 bottle cannot be allowed to compete, so they buried it. Not because it failed, because it worked so well they could not afford for you to know. This is the story of the paste, the one the rust removal industry has spent decades hoping you never find. If these buried formulas matter to you, subscribe and hit the bell. This is where we excavate what the industry covered over. Let me take you back to where this chemistry was born. In 1845, a German chemist named Carl Jacob Loewig was studying the behavior of phosphoric acid on oxidized iron surfaces. What he observed was not a slow chemical scrub. The phosphoric acid did not remove the rust the way abrasives do. It reacted with the iron oxide directly, converting ferric oxide, the red-brown compound we call rust, into iron phosphate. Iron phosphate is a dark gray compound that bonds tightly to the metal surface, seals it from moisture, and actually forms a new protective layer where the rust used to be. Loewig did not know it at the time, but he had just discovered the chemistry behind every military-grade metal treatment used for the next 180 years. The United States military used phosphoric acid derivatives to treat artillery equipment before both world wars, ship hulls, tank chassis, rifle components. The phosphate conversion process was considered so effective that the Department of Defense classified the specifications used in field applications. The reason was simple. Metal that could be maintained with a cheap acid solution did not need to be replaced as often, and the defense procurement budget depended heavily on replacement cycles. But the story of this chemistry goes even further back. Ancient Roman smiths poured diluted acidic liquids over iron tools to preserve them during long storage. Medieval European armorers treated their iron plate with acidic solutions derived from fermented grain, the same acetic acid chemistry in the vinegar sitting in your kitchen right now. Blacksmiths in 18th century England used molasses mixed with acidic compounds to arrest rust on agricultural tools during the winter months. The formula was not a secret because it was complicated. It was a secret because it was embarrassingly simple. Then the 20th century happened, and the market began to shift away from simple solutions. In the 1960s and 1970s, the chemical industry introduced branded rust removers at scale. Products with names on television, sprays with proprietary-sounding compound names. These products were marketed as scientific solutions to a problem that grandmothers had been solving with pantry ingredients for 2 centuries. The margins on branded rust removal products run between 800% and 1,200% above raw material cost. The same phosphoric acid chemistry in a $22 branded rust remover costs less than 40 cents to replicate. The same neutralizing agent costs nothing at all because it is baking soda. The industry did not replace the formula because the formula stopped working. They replaced it with a brand because a brand can be advertised and a natural chemical reaction cannot. Before I show you exactly how to make this, I have to stop and tell you what else we have collected in one place. This is the tip of what the industry has suppressed. We spent months gathering everything they buried and putting it inside the complete forbidden camping vault. Fire techniques military survival instructors used that the outdoor industry removed from public curriculum. Emergency water purification methods that cost nothing and that engineers independently tested and verified. Food preservation techniques from indigenous cultures that keep protein fresh for months without power. Natural adhesives that outperform commercial epoxy on specific surfaces. The Forbidden Firecraft Manual alone contains 17 techniques. The complete off-grid blueprint covers water, shelter, power, and food. Over 10 guides, no filler, straight to the application. Every scratch, every chip, every pore in a damaged coating is an entry point for the reaction to continue deeper into the metal. Now let us introduce the phosphoric acid to the equation. The United States Army's Ordnance Corps documented this conversion chemistry extensively in technical manuals as early as 1918. The phosphate method removes the rust by chemistry and leaves a sealed surface that actively resists the next cycle of oxidation. The total cost of these 3 ingredients at any grocery or hardware store is under $1.50 per full treatment. Phosphoric acid in hardware-grade solution costs about $6 per bottle and treats dozens of tools. A gallon of white vinegar costs under $3. A box of baking soda costs less than $1. What keeps this buried is not a conspiracy. It is simpler than that. No company profits from telling you that the rust on your tools dissolves in something you already have under your kitchen sink, so no company tells you. And a useful piece of knowledge disappears one generation at a time, not because it failed, but because it could not be monetized. A hardware store rust removal kit for a comparable job runs $25 to $60 in product. A professional metal restoration service charges $50 to $150 per hour. You just replaced both with $1.50 in materials and 1 hour of your time. Army field mechanics used this chemistry in active theaters of war to keep equipment operational when resupply was impossible. They knew rust was a chemistry problem with a chemistry solution. Your grandparents' garage had a tin of something that smelled sharp and did exactly this. The formula was passed along at the hardware counter, not the hardware shelf.